Welcome, G.W. Sturrock.
You know, I'm kind of allergic to this thing. Education is kind of what got me out of Tyler County, but also what got me back. Made me afford to get back. Jock and I both from Sunnydale. I was born about a mile past y'all's place there before I was born. And oddly, Eleanor's mother and my mother graduated together from Kirby High School. So I taught school for 6 years. Education is important to me. And then went back to dental school thanks to my wife. And did that for 30 years. So anyhow, we're here to talk about Colmesneil education, I suppose, or education in general.
Yes.
So I'm not going to cover, I had to talk faster than normal because usually I'm a slow talker. Colmesneil's first school was probably about 1882 when the sawmill was popular there. The first one was about the old cemetery in Colmesneil. It burned down. Then they built one behind the Katy Baptist Church. And in 1922, they built a brick building there. And it served both elementary and secondary. Now, the guy I'm going to talk most about is Lee Taylor. And I don't know how many of y'all are local here, but if you're in Tyler County, you probably knew about Lee Taylor. I was not a Lee Taylor fan, but I got to know more when I got to study for this, and I have a lot more respect for him. Mr. Taylor was born in Apple Springs. He went to Apple Springs as a superintendent at age 23. Pretty amazing. He came to Colmesneil at age 24 as a superintendent in 1929. He stayed for 41 years. That's 41 years as a superintendent at Colmesneil. And he would have been there when you were there.
He was.
Yeah, because he retired in 1970. He was a short man, kind of stout, not fat. He seemed to know everything. He knew more what was going on than any mother ever did. In school, I never saw a man without a shirt and tie and coat. You might have. On a senior trip in 1955, an unair-conditioned school bus for 2 weeks, he did wear a short-sleeved shirt. But I always said if he'd done yard work, it'd have been a coat, a white shirt, and a tie, because that's the way he dressed. That was about the time that the Forest Service was using the Smokey the Bear. So we referred to Mr. Taylor as Smokey, but well out of his hearing. And old Smokey got on the prowl, because he knew who was not in study hall when they're supposed to be. He took the paddle up his coat sleeve. If you saw him walking like this, you knew he was looking. So we all, my God, how we're going to get back to school with the study hall without him see us, and I can still hear him. Where are you boys supposed to be? We were always on our way to study hall, Mr. Taylor, on our way. And sometimes we got by him, sometimes we didn't. But he really ran that school. I think he did several things he was a very structured man. He did several things that kind of got you under his control early. Lining up to go to class. I don't know if y'all still lined up, but we lined up starting in first grade. Every class lined up. Ding a little bell, you'd walk inside, no horseplay. Dismiss. Walk outside, lined up, and you better get straightened out fast, ding the bell, and on your way again. So that was, he just kind of kept you under control. The other thing I think that was most impressive to me at Colmesneil is we always had an assembly or chapel program every Thursday. And everybody took part. If you didn't do anything else, you could hold a flag. Two things always took place there. Pledge of allegiance, said the right way, pull the flag, dismiss the Lord's Prayer. Mr. Taylor. I learned the Lord's Prayer in school, not church. And Mr. Taylor dismissed us every Thursday with the Lord's Prayer. He did bank business down here at Woodville, and when he would leave our algebra class, and he taught. And I'm told in World War II, he was the only male teacher in the Colmesneil system. And when he would leave, he, John D. Cruz and me would teach us algebra class, so you know how much algebra they learned. At one time, there were 16 different, talking about elementary, there were 16 different rural schools within the Colmesneil district. They were not there at the same time because as those sawmills would jump and move, the schools moved with them. But there were 16 of them at one time. When Mr. Taylor came in 1929, now listen to this. This defines the man. When he came in 1929, he started to consolidate those rural schools. That was not easy. Because Mom and Daddy liked their little one being the best one in that class, even though they were the only one in that class. So it was not easy to consolidate those schools. He consolidated those schools. He got a bond issue to pass. 1929, the stock market crashed. Hard times. He still got a bond issue passed, built the new high school, where it's located now, built the largest gymnasium you ever saw, and the only gymnasium between Lufkin and Beaumont. In 2 years, from the time he came there as a 24-year-old, he started getting accreditation stuff done, so the kids go to college. He finished that in 1932. So in 2 years, he had consolidated the schools, passed a bond issue, built a high school and a huge gymnasium, and started accreditation. He was 26 years old. Pretty amazing. Lots of Mr. Taylor's stories. I'll tell you just a couple, and I'll move along, so I won't talk about Lake Tejas, but talk about what he knew was going on. I had a guy come and haul some cows for me about 2 years ago from Apple Springs. I said, "You know Mr. Taylor?" "Oh, yeah, I knew Mr. Taylor. Knew him well there." He said, "When I was in high school, and my girlfriend was playing basketball, at that time, Colmesneil had a 16-team tournament, which is the largest girls' tournament in the state." He said, "I came down there in my car to watch her play, and somebody stole my hubcaps. Next Monday, he calls Mr. Taylor and says, 'Somebody stole my hubcaps.' Mr. Taylor said, 'Well, I'll see what I can do. I'll call you if I get them.' He said, no more than 10 days later, he gets a call from Mr. Taylor and said, 'Come get your hubcaps whenever you want to.' He knew what was going on all the time. Colmesneil was fortunate to have two very civic-minded people, Cecil Logan and Herbert Sutton. And in the early 50s, whenever Colmesneil went to 11-man football, they didn't have lights. Of course, a 6-man field small. They had to do something about a football field. No money. So they sat around Cecil Logan's service station. Mr. Taylor comes up. They get talking about it. One guy's in the logging business, two guys in the logging business. One guy says, "I got poles on this track I'm cutting. I'll cut them, peel them, and give them to you." The other guy says, "I'll haul them, give them creosote, and bring them back." Mr. Taylor then goes up to the Lufkin creosote and gets it done free, which is what he usually did. Now we've got a light problem. What are we going to do about the lights? Herbert Sutton says, "I'll take care of that." How are we going to get them up? Got poles. You know Mr. Hurst. We'll just get him. He had a contract with Gulf States, which is now Entergy. We'll get him, bring his crew up here. Mr. Hurst says, "Nah, I don't have anything to do with that. I don't have kids in school. I don't have a dog in that hunt. I'm not interested." Well, about 3 or 4 days later, Herbert and Cecil decided we need to go talk to Mr. Hurst. And when they came back, I guess they gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. "Okay, I'll do it." Now we've got to get the field put in. My friend hauls the dirt, scrapes it all off, gets it ready to play. Not supposed to be free, but he didn't get paid. So it ended up free. So we got the whole football field done by locals. We got 90 out of each money. But Mr. Taylor got a lot done. He really was Mr. Colmesneil in education, almost Mr. Colmesneil downtown, because everything's going on. Let me tell you real quick about Lake Tejas. Martin Dice helped get some legislation done so that Colmesneil could own the lake. Only lake in Texas owned by a school district, and probably will never happen again. There was a swimming hole above Lake Tejas on Perry Man property, and a school occasionally went there for picnics. But the best springs were below that dam. And Mr. Taylor got to look at that and said, we need something bigger than a swimming hole. So he got thinking about expanding downstream below those springs. And he knew those springs were good because Votal Flour Mill had a flour mill where the dam of Lake Tejas is now. So they had enough water to turn that mill. They had to have enough for a lake. So he got to talking to Lee Fagan, Perry Mann, Herbert Sutton, maybe Dave Mann, not sure about that. And they donated land to Lake Tejas, from Lake Tejas to the school, with the stipulation that it's ever sold to go back to the donors. It can only go, the money cannot go to the general fund. It has to go to extracurricular activities like sports, computers, playground equipment. So that was the story on Lake Tejas. Years it has not done well. It's been mismanaged. It's done lots of things. It was strictly cash. I'm convinced, and these are my words, that all that money did not make it to Colmesneil School. But now, they put in a bunch of campsites, they've got trailers to rent, and mainly they got Visa. And that's changed the bookkeeping. The last 2 years, the net from the lake has been $80,000 to $90,000 a year. That's the net. They buy you a few swings.